वागर्ता विव संपृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिर्स्फटिकमणिमयीमक्षमालां दधाना हस्तेनेकैन पद्मं सितमपि सुखं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासा कुन्देन्दुस्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतु वसने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना सदा शिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्. Om. There are several questions. In the interest of time, I will take questions pertaining to our
related to Karma Yoga.
Little bit I will make a bit of a discretion. So, why did Lord Krishna give Gita Jnana to only Arjuna? Why not to Yudhishthira, elder brother Arjuna, who are more like a Karma Yogi already? The answer is already there. Because he was a Karma Yogi, he did not need a lesson on Karma Yoga, perhaps. During many festivals, we clean our house, and in the process, knowingly or unknowingly, we kill many living beings, insects, spiders, cockroaches, etc. How can we do prayaschitta for this? Nice question. First question you have to ask is, you kill a cockroach wantonly or inadvertently? So I will take only the inadvertent part. For wanton part, there are no answers. So this is a very, you walk. When you walk, you may kill some insects which you don't know. See, this is exactly why we are supposed, the prayaschitta is the bhuta yajna. This is exactly why the bhuta yajna is kept. Every day offering a little bit of food, which some of the insects may eat. This is precisely why the bhuta yajna is done. That is the recommended prayaschitta. So as long as we are not doing wantonly, it happens inevitably and all that, the bhuta yajna is supposed to be the prayaschitta for it. So that's a good question actually, because we need to have that clarity.
Whatever is you told is correct, but still when many couples are there in home, we use the hit and all.
No, we don't use. I will.
I'm telling you, if we use it, then it is wanted.
Okay.
What we are doing.
So I will tell you what we do in our house. We know that we don't want to wantonly kill. But you know what is the price that you have to pay? She pays the price. Every 15 days upside down she cleans the shelf. So we don't get our cockroaches into our shelves in the first place. So we have to make a choice. Whether we want to say the other living beings are less important to me, for all my laziness I'll use hit. Or if you have shraddha that every living beings have to coexist, you have to put more effort. You can minimize. You can't completely avoid, but at least you can, to a large extent, minimize. We take great care to chase them away and make sure they don't even come in. She does a great job of doing it, which is also repellent. Anyway, whereas this question I will leave. I think only the second part of the question I will take, although it is not connected. I want to make certain clarified thinking. Terrorists have single-pointed aim to inflict maximum damage. Even sacrificing their own lives, they have ekagrata, because we talked about ekagrata is amazing. So like that there is a point. I want to tell you, Valmiki, in his Valmiki Ramayana, has treated Ravana and Rama on the same pedestal. The adjectives he has used, the way he described, Samudramiva Gambhiram, he says for Rama as well as for Ravana. All that he does. But, in Sundarakandam, in the 49th Sarga, Hanuman first time he sees eye to eye. At other times he was hiding in a tree, night time, all that. First time when he sees Ravana, it's a short Sarga, about 20 shlokas. It's a wonderful Sarga. It says, what a personality. Such a wonderful personality. It talks so greatly about Ravana. Finally, Valmiki puts one shloka. If only this fellow had some dharma, he would have conquered all the three worlds. Like that, Valmiki says. The point I am trying to make is, greatness is different from goodness. Terrorist may be as great as another person in terms of the skill, in terms of ekagrata. In Valmiki, he clearly says, I will equate Rama and Ravana for greatness, in terms of skill, in terms of vitality, in terms of the power. Goodness, there is no match. So the answer for this is, greatness is not enough. Goodness is the sustainer, not the greatness. So it's a side digression, but I thought it's an important point to make. How to differentiate the thoughts, whether they are coming from the heart or from the brain? Because only after the results we will come to know that our decision was wrong. Not necessarily. It's very easy to find whether the thoughts are coming from the brain or the heart. Simple. If the thoughts had come from brain, okay, your level of satisfaction will not be great. If the thought comes from the heart, the level of satisfaction is extraordinary. I'll give you an example. In my Bhagavad Gita course, I give my students, 100 students, I give them 2 videos. These are all YouTube videos. One YouTube video in which a Chinese lady, some of you would have seen, Chinese lady takes a feather, and on that feather she keeps on adding bigger and bigger and bigger wooden pieces. It's so big, the last wooden piece, and she keeps rotating. So it's a perfect balancing, extraordinarily impossible act. I show that video, 7 minutes video. I also show them another video. There is a couple who talks about the 25 children that they are taking care and so on. It's a 4-minute video. First 2.5 minutes you have no idea what they are talking. Generally they say we have a orphanage somewhere in the middle of the video. They are standing on the seashore in Kadalur. They said we lost both our child in the same place. But we got 25 child, tsunami. But we got 25 child back. The way they say, for a moment that lady's face changes, but they are back into bliss when they say it. My students, when they see, I ask them to write one sentence, what did you feel? You should see what they write about this video, this Kadalur video. They write, so some students say, I am crying, tomorrow, this weekend I am going to Kadalur to meet this couple. Like that my students have written. Whereas you know what they say about the Chinese lady? They say brilliant, wonderful. That kind of words they use, but they never said, I will do something from next Sunday. Nobody says that. So that is the response between brain and heart. So heart will give you a much stronger response. You can know it for yourself. Anyway. Okay. So we will continue with this Karma Yoga. And so far what we have seen in the yesterday's class, although I talked about leadership, Sri Krishna introduced one more principle of Karma Yoga, one more cardinal principle of Karma Yoga, and that is the issue of working without attachment. Can we work without attachment? Now, what it means to work with attachment? I keep hearing a lot of pravachan, only then I also become wiser. I read, but also hear a lot of pravachans, because that's the only way you can become much more wiser. So, one of the pravachan, there was a wonderful example that Pravachaka was saying. You have this oil mill where they squeeze the oil. Nowadays they use machine. Previously what used to happen is, there is one bull which goes round and round. Now what happens is, in order to make the bull untiringly work, they put a rod, and in front of the rod there is this fodder hanging. So the bull is all the time looking for the fodder. It is working for that. And in the process, it will never get it. And it gets very tired. So he was giving an example like that. So this work with attachment can sometimes, give us a lot of negative things and makes us tired also. So Krishna talks about, although I said leadership and so on, one of the thing in Karma Yoga, what he says is, can you work without a sense of attachment? So that is what he talked about. So this working with this sense of detachment, it is Loka Sangraham Chikirshuhu. Yesterday I showed the shloka. Loka Sangraham Chikirshuhu. Desire to work for Loka Sangraha. Plenty of examples. And yesterday I told one or two examples. I want to tell one very interesting example. Baba Amte. Baba Amte was a barrister at law. He went to UK, became a wealthy Brahmin. 632 acres of land, which is like 6 times IIM Bangalore. 6.5 times. I cannot even imagine how large can it be. 632 acres of land, such a wealthy person, barrister at law, he comes back. He was actually carrying night soil in Surat. Night soil is the gottagute nimge alva? Toilet. Dry toilet our time nalli. So you have to. He was doing it. It is not easy to do that. First of all, it is not easy to do anybody. For such a learned person, Gandhiji in Sabarmati Ashram, they will be asked to do a lot of menial jobs. They never ask you your biodata in terms of whether you are a PhD or whether you are a doctor. They are unimportant. You have to do a lot of menial jobs. That's the only way you shed your ahankara. Aparigraha will come truly. Detachment will come truly. So this Baba Amte, I read a nice interview in the 12th standard or 11th standard English book, Karnataka PU board. I was stunned with that interview. He said he thought he saw a dead corpse in the gutter one day when he was carrying night soil in Surat. Then he found there was a little movement. That was a person with leprosy. Now he said, people tell me that I am a very courageous person. I must confess, I decided momentarily to go away from there. He says, I don't have courage. A person who lifted him finally, the Shantivan, that whatever he does in Varda, he lived up to the age of 93. Kind of things that he has done. Please go and visit their Maharogi Seva Sangh, something is there, MSS. Go to the website. His son is also doing so well. They are the true meaning of Loka Sangraha. Such a learned person, he actually gave up the entitlement of 632 acres. He was married, so he was a Grahastha. He was not even a bachelor. He was a Grahastha. He gave up 632 acres, went, and then I think Acharya Vinobhave recommended him, because in Calcutta they would never give him the formal training to handle leprosy patients. They said you are not eligible. Acharya Vinobhave actually put his thing, and he started that big Shantivan or something in Varda. So these kinds of examples, we have had great characters like this in this country. There are many more even today. This is the real work with detachment. I have seen some of these Swamijis. People talk ill of these Swamijis. Unless you very closely go and spend time with them, you have no idea what they are capable of and how busy they are. I mean, there is a lot of wrong mental models. I have, seen quite a few Swamijis. You may be thinking they are sitting and doing nothing. It's not like that. Their ability, one of my friend, professor at IIM Bangalore, my colleague, he wanted to help a group of farmers in Davanagery district. See the Avarakailu, it's a rain-fed crop, November, December, January. They were exploited like anything. So he decided to help. So I also a little bit helped him, we went together. We wanted to take the produce and directly bring it to KR market, because the middlemen were all eating away all the money. So we went to Canara Bank, Rural Nabard, we couldn't get money for, we wanted some 20 lakhs. We had to pay them, we need 3-4 days of working capital, minimum. Then Canara Bank, Rural Bank. So, educated people are highly risk aversive. That's what education does to us. So we couldn't. we wasted quite a bit of time. Finally, an idea came to us. In Karnataka, for every district there is a Swamiji. So Taralabalu Mutt is for Devanagari. Nagar, we went and met that Swamiji. I have few experiences like this. This Swamiji is about 35-40 years. He is a PhD in biochemistry, PhD in Samskrita. I was stunned when I saw him. The 3 or 2 or 3. I don't remember the name. Well educated. Stunned. I was really flat when I saw him. And then in about 15 minutes, what we could not do in about 2 months, we finished. We said, Swamiji, we want money, 20 lakhs. Why? This is what it is. He had 2-3 cell phones. He picked up one phone. He called some corporation bank or something. He said, at par, you just, you don't worry about 30 lakhs anymore. Okay. Swamiji, we need to collect. There are 800 farmers. We need to collect Avarika and account. He called Mutt and said, put a table and chair and start collecting. Then we said, we want to transport it to KR Market. We were professors. Our job is not to sell. We are only trying to introduce a concept to them. He immediately called another fellow and then finished. Point I am trying to make is, what politicians could not do to the city of Chennai, Satya Sai Baba spent 800 crores and got water. You don't know what is the power of Loka Sangraha. So don't underestimate these Swamijis. Unless you very closely interact with them in several times, you have no idea. It's easy to sit out and talk. These people are all just sitting and doing it. You don't know what power they wield, and they are doing, know what is in it for me. Quite a few examples are like that. So I think that is what Krishna is saying. Loka Sangraha brings enormous power to the table and credibility which you cannot really see. So that is one point which we saw. Then we are moving to another important point where we said each one of us have a very unique nature. Ahankara vimudatma karteyam iti manyate. He doesn't understand that. He says, I am doing. The bigger I is doing. The smaller I is these gunas. Prakriti guna, we saw that shloka, 27th shloka. So, it is important, the rest of the discussion are going there. Prakriti, from Prakriti, each one of us get our guna. A combination of sattva, raja, tamas, which makes the guna. The guna drives the karma. That is what it is. I am in a particular way and I can do only that. So this notion of Prakriti as the basis is very fundamental to this country. See, Ayurveda, for example. In Ayurveda, if two of us have a headache and go to an Ayurvedic doctor, you will not be given the same medicine. There is a good chance both will not be given the same medicine. Whereas in allopathy, you will be given the same medicine. 100 people having headache will get the same medicine, anasin or something. In Ayurveda, it is not like that. The Ayurveda system of medicine starts with the basic assumption that each one of us has our own Prakriti. So your headache may be for some reason, your headache may be for some other reason. So if I see that Pitta, Kapha, Vata balance, which is again coming from these doshas or coming from the Prakriti, the whole treatment, line of treatment is like that. So this Prakriti is a very, very important concept in this system. That's why I don't know whether it is in Charaka Samhita or Sushru Samhita. Health definition. I have not seen a better definition. You know what is the definition? Swasmin karye, swasmin stale, swasmin karmani, swasmin sthane, stiyate iti swasthya. Swasthya means, what is the Sanskrit translation of this? If you are yourself, you are healthy. Today's modern societies, we are not ourselves. We want to be like somebody else. Sushru Samhita, I think, Charaka Samhita, I don't remember, one of these two. Swasmin sthane, swasmin karmani, stiyate iti swasthyam. That's all is the definition for swasthya. You be yourself. Don't pretend to be somebody else. Don't do things against your nature. Krishna is going to say that. So the rest of the discussion in Karma Yoga is how do you choose what work you do? And that is to be understood. This is the biggest challenge for career planning executives of today. Because he is going to tell us something different. But before that, I just want to quote from Mahanarayana Upanishad that Ahankara vimudatma karteyam iti manyate. For that you see what is the answer in Mahanarayana Upanishad. So nice mantra. कामोकार्षी नमो नमः कामोकार्षी कामः करोति नाहं करोमि कामः कर्ता नाहं कर्ता कामः कारयिता नाहं कारयिता एष ते कामकामाय स्वाहा मन्युरकार्षी नमो नमः मन्युरकार्षी मन्युः करोति नाहं करोमि मन्युः कर्ता नाहं कर्ता मन्युः कारयिता नाहं कारयिता एष ते मन्यो मन्यवे स्वाहा. In Mahanarayana Upanishad it says, please contemplate this every day. Kama is desire, Manyu is anger. Manyu is anger and Kama is desire. So in Mahanarayana Upanishad it says, please contemplate on this mantra. You are not doing. Guna guneshu vartante iti matva dharayan. Krishna says in Karma Yoga, Jnani thinks all these are happening at the guna level. That's what this mantra is saying. Kama karoti naham karomi. I am not doing. Desire is doing something which are desire oriented. Kama karta. The karta is that, the agency is that, the doer is there, the action is there, everything is there. It is not in me. So it is talking about the bigger I, not the smaller I. That is what this mantra is saying. He says, Kama karoti naham karomi. Kama karta. I am not the karta. Kama is the karta. I am not the karta. Kama karayita. Which is, it makes is done. I don't make it done. Madustini. The is, if you put is, it becomes a causal form, no, in Kannada. Like that, it is karayita. Similarly, manyukarta, manyukarayita. I am not doing. So this is the kind of reflection this is the kind of contemplation the Upanishad is pushing. He's saying, discover your bigger I. All these chota mota things are belonging to a smaller I. Ahankara vimudatma kartayam iti manyate. That is what this mantra is actually saying. So every entity has some inherent nature that drives most of the activities in the world and shapes outcomes. This is a very, very, very important issue that we need to understand. Every entity is like this. We need to understand this. All activities, future shlokas are also saying it. So at that time we will talk about it in a little more detail. So Krishna is saying, detach oneself from these forces of natures and outcomes can indeed be the true path to freedom from work. What is this freedom from work? You should say Guna Guneshu Vartante. All these are happening at the Guna level. Let me just keep away. A true jnani can practice it. So when Ramana Maharishi had that surgery to be done, he said, body is not mine. We can all say fancily, we cannot even mean it. He said, no anesthesia and all that. The body is not mine. You do whatever you want to do. Cut and remove something, you cut, remove and something. I am not, it is not part of me. That to go to that level, we have to contemplate. That is what he is saying. Go to that level. Disown everything. See, in Vedanta, there are three grand statements. Aham na deham. Deham naham. Koham. Soham. There is one shloka like that. Deham naham. I am not the body. The body is not mine. There are three sentences. You have to think about these three sentences very carefully. I am not the body. That is the first sentence. Second sentence is, the body is not mine. The third sentence is, the body is not for me. There are three different sentences. And we have to master this. If we master it, as somebody asked, you can do Nirguna Upasana. Until then you have to do Saguna Upasana. Kleshaha adhikataraha tesham abhyakta sakta chetasam. I quoted that in 12th chapter. I am not the body is little easy. It is not very difficult. That is the easiest thing to first cover. Because there are ways, in deep sleep I am not the body. Even in Swapna I am not the body. So I am not the body, slowly we can cover the ground. The body is not mine, the body is not for me is very difficult. If you get it, then we will be here. So the question is, how can we practically achieve this? Because we have to reach there. This is the destination. Now the question is, what is the route? This is where I have to reach. But where do I start? How, Karma Yogi is a process. Slowly we should be able to do, which means fearlessly I should be able to give my pen to you. Fearlessly, I should be able to give my brand new notebook I bought. He said, is there a notebook for me? Take it. Without a second thought, I should give. We can start from those C-class items. Simple, useless items. From there we can start. And then move on. So now when we go to bigger things, how do we practice it? So that is where Krishna gives us some ideas also. And what he says is, as I was talking yesterday, develop prasada buddhi and develop sharanagata bhava. The two pillars of life which I talked about. Develop sharanagata bhava, develop that mentality of approach to life. You will find that notion of karma yoga slowly comes into us. The detachment will happen. Detachment must first start with the outcomes. Not with work, with outcomes. The detached attachment that we are talking about. So the next few shlokas are actually little bit talking about it. So we will see some of those shlokas. Prakriter guna sammudha sajjante guna karmasu tana krishna vido mandan krishna vinna vichalayet. So I have to do a little padacheda because there are a lot of sandhi here. See, in Sanskrit, the moment you do the split of it, most of the meaning is already available. Says prakritehe. The ir comes because of visarga in sandhi. Prakritehe gunasammudaha sajjante gunakarmasu. Tan, the na will become in plus a. Tan akrishna vidaha. Not Krishna vidaha, akrishna vidaha. Opposite. Tan akrishna vidaha mandan Krishna with. With plus na becomes vinna. Krishna with. With is one who knows. Veda, with, that's why the word Veda comes. With means to know. So, mandan Krishna with na vichalayet. The same shloka only came 4 shlokas before. Joshayet, there is one shloka which is a same idea here. So what is he saying? Sammudaha, there is a vimudaha. Here it says sammudaha. V means visishta. Sam means samyak, good idiots. These are all extra effect to the muda. Vimuda is visishtena muda. Sammuda means samyak mudaha, properly idiot. So he is only, making it more and more emphasized. Okay? So, gunasammudaha, prakritehe gunasammudaha, they don't understand that guna is related to prakriti, not to your bigger eye. It is related to the smaller eye. Without knowing that, guna karmasu sajjante. They engage, they mix this guna and karma and get all trouble. They get upset, they get angry, they develop expectation, they get very disappointed. That's what happens. So, prakritehe guna sammudaha guna karmasu sajjante. They get involved into the work by linking guna and karma very closely. Although there is good reason you should try to sort of keep it as separable as possible, which will be better for you. But without seeing it, they mix it. Tan is such people. This is all plural. Now it is talking about that category of sammudaha. So sammudaha itself is plural. So therefore this is also such people. Tan, what kind of people they are? Akrishna with. So Krishna and with, there are 2 words there. With means to know. That's where Veda and all those are coming. With means to know. Krishna means everything. In fact, in chapter 4, there is a 18th shloka. Karmani yaha akarmaha pashet akarmani cha karmayaha sabuddhiman manushyeshu Krishna karma krit. He is said to have achieved all work. The Krishna means everything. There it's a Krishna karma krit. That is the same word Krishna is. It's not Krishna. It is it is na, Krishna. Krishna means everything. So, Krishna with means one who knows everything, which means he is a Tattvadarshi. One he knows everything is a Tattvadarshi. He has understood the scheme of things in the world. Here it is the anti, Akrishna Vrit. Akrishna Vrit. In this, he is the Sammuda actually. He doesn't know the charm, he doesn't know what is the ultimate truth of life. He takes one wrongly for the other. So, Tan Akrishna Vidaha, these ill-informed, ignorant people, okay, Mandan, they are Mandabuddhi. They are Mandabuddhi. They are not intelligent enough to understand this. So, there is another adjective to the Sammudas. These are all adjectives for the Sammudas. So, Mandan, Akrishna with Tan, such, this is second case, such people, right? Krishna with, now this all-known person, Jnani, Krishna with na vichalayet, don't disturb him, don't perturb him. Same shloka we found in 25. If you remember, I will quickly go to 25 just to tell you, this is exactly what we said. Not 25. Utsedihu ime lokaha, no, joshet sarva karmani, na buddhi bedam janayet. Same idea. Na buddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam, joshet sarva karmani vidhwan yuktaha samacharan. Same idea Krishna is telling in a slightly different way. He says, don't disturb them. Akrishna with people should not be disturbed by Krishna with people. That's what he is saying. So don't do that. Tasya na vichalayet is what he is saying. I had to say a few things I wanted to say. So it is the same idea as in Shloka 26. Now a very interesting story which I again heard somewhere is like this. There are three groups of people. The first group are blind. The second group are also blind. The third group is normal sight. Now what happened? The first group of blind people went and wanted to know what is an elephant. The usual story. So he looks at it and he says elephant is a rope, elephant is a wall, elephant is all that first group says. 6 blind people. So now the rope category puts down the wall category. He says, you are an idiot, what do you know? You don't know anything about elephant. Elephant is actually rope. Now the wall category says, no, my perspective is superior, your perspective is inferior. What do you know? Actually elephant is a wall, not a rope. So then the second category of 6 blind men, they never went near, so they say there is nothing like an elephant. So they are fighting from that direction. They neither touched, they never saw whatever it is. Now, so there are these 2 warring groups now. In the first group, there are sub-wars going. While the rope category says it is inferior, whereas the wall category says we are superior. This fight is going on. All of them have imperfect information about elephant. Second category is blissfully ignorant, but it has audacity to say there is no such thing as elephant in the world. Because they have never seen, they have never touched, they have not felt. Now there is the third category who are the normal sight people. The question is, what should these people do? This is a question on hand. Now if you go and tell these warring groups, this is what it is, they will finish you off. That's not going to work. So the point is, the first thing that we can do, the only thing that we can do is the normal sight people can think of ways by which encourage them for a possibility of an elephant and encourage them to motivate themselves to get the truth, and slowly, if they are so motivated to know the elephant, they will go for a netradana and try to get their eyesight, and then the problem is solved. This is the problem with Vedanta. That is what Krishna is saying here. The jnanis, and we are all in one of the subcategories actually. We don't know which subcategory we belong to, but we are all in one of these categories. Either we are blissfully ignorant, but we have the audacity to say nothing is there, or we have the audacity to wrongly understand something and fight on it. On the basis of that, put royal fight and finish one another. Some of the questions are also asking some of those. So I think the solution is to somehow find out ways by which we can, give them a little sight, motivate them to get a sight, and so that the problem is solved. So that is what Krishna is trying to say through this shloka that you see here. We'll move on. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jwaraha. So here is where the Sharanagata Bhava is so beautifully explained. He says, Sarvani karmani. So let me do the anvaya of this shloka. Sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya. You surrender all that unto me. All that you surrender unto me. How? Adhyatma chetasa. This, Adhyatma thinking, the enlightened thinking, the wisdom that you can get will drive you towards that. More wisdom you get, you understand this is what it is at the end of the day. So, Adhyatma chetasa, with that perspective of mind, you surrender unto me. This is what I call it as Sharanagata Bhava. Surrender everything unto me. And he says, such a person, when he really tries to do it, what will happen to him? He will become Nirashihi. Nirashihi. That Visarga has become Ir there. Nirashir, it is saying. The Ir is the in the Sandhi, Visarga becomes Ir, Repa. Is what they say in Vyakarna. So Nirashihi. You become somebody who is unattached a little bit. You move one step behind. You don't get so upset about events that are happening in your life. That is what is Nirashi. Nirashi Bhava will give us only that. Some small things happening this way, that way, plus and minus also, I will be not really, affected that much. And Nirmama, that surrender will take my Mamakara. You will become a Nirmama. The Ahankara and Mamakara are what are the two things they say. You can only remove Mamakara only by surrendering. You have to surrender unto a great force. I may not know the name for it. Or different religions may use different names. But nobody will not agree to the fact that there is something bigger. There is this Ishvara. First day I talked about Jiva Jagat Ishvara. The triangle. That is the triangle we are talking. There is a larger force which I know. I may call it as, Rama or Krishna or Saraswati. I may be a Devi Upasaka. I may be a Baba devotee. I may be of a different religion. It doesn't matter. If we can recognize an existence of a divine Leela and understand that divine Leela is working in a particular way, that creates this world of possibilities, that put you in a particular situation at a particular time. In fact, that another nice thing which I read. When there is this basketball match, NBA, National Basketball Association, highly paid basketball matches in US. There's a nice thing Swami Dayananda Saraswati wrote in his book, in Gita Home Study. So beautifully he wrote. What he says is, when they won the game, finally one ball was shot straight into the basket. The 2 points made the difference. Team A won. Team B lost. Now the question is, who should take the credit for this winning? In Team A. Now, normally people think the fellow who actually threw that basket into the basket, they think he should take the credit, or at least the lion's credit. Swami Dayananda beautifully analyzes this problem. He says several things. He says, this ball came here through a chain of passing. It did not suddenly appear from out of nothing. It went through so many possibilities, and in a particular possibility, in fact, before this fellow actually put it on the basket, it was very important the previous fellow rightly passed to him. If he had not rightly passed to him, this ball would have never landed there. Now you extend the logic one step behind. This fellow, to rightly pass to him, the previous person must have given the ball to him correctly. Please analyze life like this. If you analyze life like this, two things will happen. You cannot take credit for your successes in life. On the other hand, you can count your blessings for being successful. God has put me in this situation. He has made me prominent today here. That feeling we must have. You should say, I am a great person. I know this, because of me only this match was won. They are all people who are uninformed. They have not understood the reality. And Dayananda Saraswati goes one step forward. He even brings this, we tell Om Shanti, 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 3 times we say. Why? Because we want Shanti from 3 sources. The disturbances that are the failure that we'll have in anything that we do belongs to three categories. It's called Adi Devikam, Adi Bhautikam, Adhyatmikam. I'll take a simple example. I am writing an exam. I keep telling to my daughter and some people also, I keep telling this. I am writing an exam. Right? Now, there are three things which are required for me to write the exam. First thing is, on the day of exam, I should not have a fever or a loose motion or something like that. I will be in trouble. I have a splitting headache. Morning I got up, 8 o'clock I have to leave. 10 o'clock exam, I go. I don't know why. Morning I got up, I have a splitting headache. Who is responsible for it? However careful I am in my food. In fact, I thought so much about it, that's why I got the headache, I think. That's a different issue. So I get a splitting headache. Or I get a high fever. I can't even get up. I mean, I had a good friend in my school days. He couldn't write the SSLC because terrific fever and he got chicken pox. Until in March, they see bright student, he couldn't write. So this is called Adhyatmika. These are all your body. Some complex forces are working through your body. And so first of all, you should be thankful to God that Adhyatmika is solved. Then Adi Bhautika. What will happen is, I have experienced this. The day I want to sleep, I used to live in a house, it's the third house I am living. First house where I was living, our house was such that the first floor and the ground floor will have a common sort of a well kind of a structure. That's how the house is built. So my daughter was, too small at that time. And we used to say sometimes, the day we want to sleep, my first floor neighbor will have a 2000 watts music blowing. Why did he choose to do it only when I wanted to, do that? Or, I wanted to set everything and sit, power cut. 3 hours power cut. In fact, science cannot answer. In fact, I always say science can never answer why. Science can answer only how. Science can never answer why. All whys they are answering are hows actually. If I ask why did I get fever, he will say, some antibody, that is how, not why. Some antibody happened, something, whatever they explain, they are all the how part, not the why part. In fact, Newton, when the apple fell, Newton asked, how did it fall? And he never asked why did it fall or who fell the apple. Now, who is a better question? Again I have heard in one of the provision, if Newton, if only Sir Isaac Newton asked who fell the apple, he would have become a Brahmajnani rather than a scientist. So, Adi Bhautika, then Adi Daivika. I started this Chennai floods came, end of the story. Or I started from a house, okay, there is a big thunder cloud burst or something. The cloud burst was over before 1 hour before the exam, but I need 2 hours to reach the venue, but I reached 4 hours traffic jam. What can you do? So if you have to analyze life like this. It is not pessimism. Please don't think it is pessimism. Objectivity. Vedanta is objectivity. Vedanta is good objectivity. If you objectively think life, it is Vedanti. You are a Vedanti. So now you will say, I can't credit for many things. Rather I can count the blessings. If things are going well today, I should count the blessings rather than having the ahankara to say I did it. That is immature behavior. That's what he say. If you count the blessings, you know how to count the blessings. That is what Mayi Sarvani Karmani Sanyasya. Now the most emotional episode in the entire Mahabharata, sensitive and the most emotional episode is Draupadi's Vastra Apaharana. You all will agree with me. That story is meant for teaching Sharanagata Bhava. You should read that part of the story in Mahabharata. Until he took both her hands up, help was not coming. See, ancient Indian wisdom, you should not read very rationally. It makes no sense. Because if you start reading this Draupadi's, this disrobing of Draupadi, then you have to ask who is manufacturing so much cloth? Is the capacity is balanced? Are they winding it correctly? Is the system balanced? So much you are winding and so much is coming out. These are all rational thinking, which is what Western education has taught us. Indian education is intuitive thing. You have to look at the sukshma, not the stula. These are all stula. You should ask, why is that story? That story is not to laugh at it and say, how can endlessly sari will come? That means you miss the point. If you really analyze, Westerners will analyze only like that because they are trained only for analytical thinking. That's why they laugh at ancient Indian wisdom. Indians have also now joined with Westerners and laughing at ancient Indian wisdom. There's a lot of sukshma in the stories. Draupadi's Vastraparana says, or Gajendra Moksha, if you take for example in Bhagavatam, the story, don't look at how can crocodile talk, how can all that, don't ask, because that means you have missed the point completely. The story is not meant for it. Because if you become so rational, then I have to switch off all cartoon TV, because how can animals talk? The entire cartoon TV is now gone, if you use that kind of a logic. So, Draupadi's Vastraparana reminds us that if you think you will solve your problems, your head weight will go too much. Not only the head weight, the weight on your head will go too much. You will collapse. Moment you think that God will solve, but I will do my work, you will feel very relieved. That is what a 2-year-old child does. When you take the 2-year-old child for the party, you are tense, not the child. Because child has surrendered the responsibility to you. It will run all over the place. You will run behind the child. That is what happens, na? So, Sharanagata is very important. That will relieve you. That will rediscover your true nature. Today we think, I will solve my problem. You will be defeated. You will be defeated, or you will get into all kinds of problems in life. Mental problem, physical problem, health issues. But if you say, no, I will put my best foot forward, this situation demands a certain response, I will do it. But mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya, with that bhava. Which means, so when you say karmani sanyasya, it is not doing sannyasa of karma. What you have to understand, don't take the direct English meaning of it or translation of it. Krishna never asks you to surrender the karma, which Arjuna is very much keen on. When you say karmani sanyasya, what it means is karma palani sanyasya. Means, I will do the work, outcomes I will take. Take it as prasada. Whatever you get, I will take. That is what he is saying here. So, if you do it, you will become nirashihi. You don't get too tensed up about results. You don't get too involved into the situation. You don't get too attached into it. You take your hands a little bit. That's what Draupadi did. She tried hard. It didn't work. Then she remembered, I should surrender to Govinda. That thought came much later. Until then she was struggling, fighting. If you think you are going to fight, God says good luck. Try. You want to try for yourself? Please try. But one day you will come. So sooner we can discover that charm of life. So Sharanagata is not weakness, it is wisdom. Sharanagata is not weakness, it is wisdom. To understand that at the end of the day I will put the best foot forward. I have no idea what results will happen. I have the grace to take it. Everything is Lord's prasada for me. If I have to suffer today, it's Lord's prasada, let me suffer. If I have to enjoy today, I will also enjoy, that's Lord's prasada today for me. That is what he is saying. He is saying, if you do it, it will resolve many issues for you. Life becomes a little more interesting. You will be more risk-taking actually. We will not be less risk-taking. We will be more risk-taking because we are not worried about results anymore. God will give me, whatever He gives I will take. That feeling will come. And this also we have to experience. Now we can talk about it, but we need to experience it in our own ways. Then he says, Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto nasuyantoha muchyante tepi karmabhihi. So, idam matam, me matam, my opinion. Matam is my viewpoint. My opinion, my perspective, my viewpoint. That's called matam. That's how the matam also came. The ism, Hinduism, that ism, this ism, Leninism, Marxism. The ism is called matam. In other words, somebody holds a view. Buddhism, somebody holds a view. That's called matam. That's why you use the word matam also. So, me matam. Which is Me Matam? Start from Shloka 3 or maybe Shloka 4. Shloka 3 was, Sankyanam Jnana Yogam, Yoginam Karma Yogam. That's what he said. In a nutshell, he said in Shloka 3. Chapter Shloka 4 to 30. This is his view. That's what, when you say, idam matam, me matam idam, nityam, ever, nityam, anutishtanti. Tishtanti is sit. Anutishtanti is to follow and sit, which means practice. You be in it. That is the meaning. You be in that perspective which I shared with you, which is like practicing. So, ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti, ye manavaha, such people who subscribe to my view and follow it diligently every day in all walks of their life, in how do you approach work, whatever be the work. How do you approach work if you follow like that forever? That's what in the first line he says. And what happens? Who are they? They are Shraddhavantaha. They develop Shraddha. In fact, they will do only if they have Shraddha. So this actually qualifies those Manavaha. You should have the belief that something good will happen when I think divinity exists. This is called Astikya Buddhi. Astika, Nastika, they say, na? Astika means what? Asti iti yaha vadati saha astikaha. There is a larger force that exists. There is something bigger than all of us that exists. A person who believes in it is called Astika. See, God believer, not believer are all indirect meaning. The real meaning is, Astika means, Asti iti yasya buddhi asti saha astikaha. Asti means it is there. So there is a larger force behind everything. I firmly believe in it. And how do I develop that belief? I have firm belief in Guru Vakya. I have firm belief in Veda. I have firm belief in Shruti. If somebody gets that, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that his sayings are in 1880, 90, that kind of a situation. He says in the villages, this mother and this, I have seen it in my village also in my childhood days. The mother or the father and this 3-year-old boy will come. So they will put a pole in the middle of the village and they will do all kinds of tricks to get some money. The whole village people will come and then, they look at it and at the end of the show they give them. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that the small boy, when whatever tricks he does, he will hold his one hand on the pillar and rotate and do this, jump. If he leaves it, he will fall. He knows it very well. He will firmly hold it. He will firmly also. So for us, whatever we engage in world, in whatever we do, we need one handle on the pillar. That pillar is Astika Buddhi. God is there. Anything happens, God is there. He is called Shraddhavantaha. He is the one who actually develops Shraddha. One who has that unshaking belief that something bigger is there. And it's all because of that, so many things are happening. Situations are very complex. You and I cannot, we say I modified the situation. You cannot modify the situation. A simple act of throwing that ball in the basket itself is so complicated. What are you talking about? That is what it is. So there is this divine Leela in which it's a yajna. Thousands of people come to a particular situation, do good and bad. All are divine Leela only. It's required. So they are Shraddhavantaha and Anasuyaha. Anasuyantaha. Asuya, Anasuya. So this Asuya is the greatest distraction of the mind. This jealousy, this comparison, it will actually eat away your personality. Our Vedanta has enormous, in Bhagavad Gita at the end he says, only those who don't have Asuya you should teach. Look at some, 18th chapter, if you look at some 68th or 69th, 73rd or 72nd shloka, it will say, you should teach only to those Susrushuhu and Anasuya. Krishna says, this Asuya people don't waste your time because their mind is very distracted. You're spilling your energy on wrong things. If something good happens to somebody, it's prarabdha. If something bad is happened to me, it is also prarabdha. What is this comparison? Why are we wasting our useful, precious time and energy like this? We should not. He says, so they should be anasuyaha. They should be shraddhavantaha. So with these two pre-qualification, if they come and then practice what I say, what will happen? Muchyante te api karmabihi. They will completely get redeemed of the work. Redeemed of the work means not they will run away from work. Here also what you should understand is they will be redeemed of all effects of work. I have been repeatedly saying the biggest problem is work affects me. That is our central challenge. Good or bad is a minor issue. Work is affecting me. How can I reach a stage where work should not affect me? Meaning, the outcome of the work should not affect me. That is what he is painstakingly teaching. So, if the outcome of the work does not affect me, I will be, and in order for that to happen, I should be a Shraddhavantaha, I should be a Anasuyaha, and then I also diligently follow these great ideas which he has said from Shloka 4 to Shloka 30. He says, so this is like a Palashruti for the Karma Yoga. Do all these, you will be better. You will be redeemed of all effects of work which is binding you. Work is binding us in many ways. That will get, pushed back. Then, ye tve tadabhyasuyantaha nanutishtanti me matam sarva jnana vimudam stan Viddhi nashtan achetasaha. So he is saying the other part. Shloka 31 said, what will happen if you practice diligently? Shloka 32 says, what will not happen if you choose not to practice? Or you don't have the requisite qualification. What will happen? So that is what is coming in. So, ye, such people, ye, tu, indeed, there is a tu. And then you have the ukara is only becoming vakara there actually. So tu if you take, then etat abhyasuyantaha. See asuyanta abhyasuyantaha. Okay, abhyasuyantaha na anutishtanti me matam. Okay, if they don't, these people who they are not able to practice asu, they have asuya, not anasuya. Asuyantaha. And in that he has put another prefix abi. Abhyasuyantaha. These are all, making it, they are nothing but jealousy. So it is adding like vimuda, that's samuda, vimuda, like that. Abhyasuyantaha. Their asuya is of the high variety. They have a lot of jealousy. They have not understood you are wasting your energy. I think jealousy is the surest way to destroy our personality. There's no, if we have asuya, we will destroy our personality. I don't know what will happen, because as per prarabdha, what will happen to you will happen, what will happen to you will happen to you. I don't know what are you trying to achieve by this. As I told you, this janma is manufactured only with a bundle of karma called prarabdha karma. That will be exhausted. Nobody can stop it. Then people ask me, then why do you have to pray God? And I have wonderful personal life experiences of mine and people known to me which explains why. I explained it. They said, sir, you say all this, what is bound to happen will happen, then why am I praying to God? I then tell them, if you pray to God, the God will mentally prepare you to take what you go through very well. He will not give you discounts. No discounts. Prarabdha karmas will not be discounted at all. Which means today if I have to have a little bit of a fracture or some bad thing happen, if you are very daivi, if you have a daivi sampat, you will be mentally better off to handle it. Discount is not given, but you are given a power to handle. Very recently I saw one of my colleague happened. I told her, that lady, I told her, you have lot of Bhagavad Kataksha. Because you went through this problem, but God aligned everything in such a way that comfortably you went through the problem. I explained to her. She said, sir, I agree with you. She gave me 3 more, her life experiences. I agree with you, sir. I pray to God, Bhagavad Kataksha is there, which means what we will go through, we can go through a little comfortably. The mind will be ready to take it. That's all, and that's also important. So, the prarabdhas cannot be discounted. So, this asuya is a complete waste of time. You gain nothing by asuya. You can destroy your own personality. That's all. That's why it is very talked down very seriously in all the texts. So, Abbasuyantaha na anutishtanti me matam. There he said anutishtanti, here he says na anutishtanti. They don't follow. Me matam, this recommendation that I have given. Okay? So, he says, what he says? Sarvajnana Vimudan. He is ignorant of all possible ways of obtaining jnana. Sarvajnana Vimuda. Now the Vimuda has got one more title now. He is Sarvajnana Vimuda, not ordinary Vimuda. Muda itself is bad. Vimuda is even worse. Now we have Sarvajnana Vimuda. So there are two more adjectives which are being added to it. He is ignorant of everything in life. He can acquire no jnana worth the salt. That's what he is saying. Sarvajnana Vimudaha tan viddi nashta. Nashtan achetasa. They have lost their personality. Chetas is not heart. Chetas is also your being. You have lost your Vyaktitva. Your Vyaktitva nashta aitu. You have lost your Vyaktitva, your personality, your character. Instead of investing it gainfully and then in this Janma go one step forward, you took a 10-step retrograde. We are all on a highway. The highway is moksha. The final destination is moksha. Some people are walking, some people are running, some people are stagnant, some people are turning back and walking this side. That is the only difference. And nobody can go out of this path. We are all on the same road only. That's why some people take Ola cabs and go a little faster also. That is the only difference. So the difference is only what speed at which you are going and which direction you are going. The road is the same for all of us. So these people have taken a U-turn and they are fast taking Ola cabs in the reverse direction, perhaps. So that is what Krishna is saying here in this shloka. So these shloka 31 and 32 are a little bit of a sort of a, Palashruti kind of a thing. Then he says, Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakriter jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyasi. This thought he has been carrying. He is saying that every one of us have a nature. With that nature will impel us to do a work. Okay? And now he says, Sadrisham cheshtate. Cheshta is work or what we engage in. Okay? He says, Jnanavanapi, even the enlightened soul, Jnanavanapi, Swasyaha prakritehe sadrisham cheshtate. The work that is happening is aligned to that Jnani's nature. The only thing is, Jnani steps away from it. He says, I am not that. That's the only difference. So, what is the Anvaya here? Jnanavanapi, even the Jnanis, for them what happens? Prakritehe swasyaha sadrisham cheshtate. As per what the Prakriti that Jnani has, his action will be like that. He will be impelled into action only in that way. Even for a Jnanavanapi. That's what he is saying. The only difference between a Jnani and Ajnani is Jnani knows that and he keeps it at bay. He doesn't get involved into the process. He says, I have a Prakriti, because of it is happening, let it happen. That's why Ramana Maharishi said, you do surgery, I am not bothered. I have a Prakriti. So the Prakriti has to go through it, let it go through it. I am not part of it. That is the only difference. But he also knows that is what it is, it has to go through it. So it will happen. Prakritim yanti bhutani. The whole world, the bhutas, sakala jiva rashis are led. Yanti is taken along with. Led by the Prakriti. Swaswa Prakriti. Each one's own Prakriti. Each one of us has our own Prakriti. And that Prakriti will lead us. We may think ahankara vimudatma kartayamiti manyate. That is your level of ignorance. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Why is he saying nigraha kim karishyati? Don't try to control it. Don't try to control it. Allow it to flow in its own way and see if you can change the course a little bit over a period of time. That is more manageable. Don't block it. Nigraha kim karishyati? Nothing will happen. It will be counter effect. Why he is saying this? Krishna is quite convinced that Arjuna, by walking out of the battlefield, will come back with twice the vigor and kill them. Okay, his prakriti is to fight. Temporarily, because he is seeing something very uncomfortable and he wants to avoid, he wants to run away from the situation, he will come back. He will come back. He cannot go anywhere. Because his prakriti is to fight, establish dharma. That is his mental makeup. Don't try to do anything other than that. It will be temporary. Nigraha kim karishyati. By controlling it, what will happen? Don't suppress. It will come. That's why I don't tell people when people do upavas, I tell them don't do just like that. When I started, in the age of 40, when I started, I did something simple. I said for the first 6 months I will cut one food. Next 6 months I cut 2 food. If you say from tomorrow, next Ekadashi onwards I will be in upavas, I will tell you what will happen. What you could not eat on Ekadashi, Dwadashi will make a killing. And Ekadashi is all of that day only they make some nice things and all. I mentioned some of these stories before. You should not do that. You should ramp slowly. So you want to cut sugar, don't cut sugar tomorrow morning. From 1 spoon make it 3/4. From 3/4 you make it half. From half you make it little. Once you are there, if somebody puts little bit, it is too sugary for you. That is what Krishna is saying. You lead your prakriti slowly. This Arjuna wants to, because the situation he is not able to handle. This is what we do as head of the family also. We want to the going is not good, we want to run away. And we want suddenly take off, only to find day after tomorrow you will come back anyway. Where can I go? My vasanas are still not exhausted. I cannot go anywhere. That's what he is saying. He is saying, don't go. Now I thought about a very nice way to explain this. No, this shloka has a very important implication. Do you know what is the implication? This shloka is what career planners and people who want to do career must seriously think about. What should I do? Should be related to my nature. Right? Not all of us have to become an engineer and all of us have to become, I don't understand this logic, although we are also in the business of making them like that. But this is the biggest challenge to the modern idea of career planning and career. Because the modern idea of career planning, the focus is where is money, not where is your nature. The focus is which gives me more money. With more money you can get into deep trouble and then get admitted also. The focus is on money. Here the focus is on what you can do. I will take a small little example to understand this. Suppose because it should guide many things. Suppose I want to do social service. I want to do social service. Now there are 4 options. First option is work on the field for 2 hours a day. That's social service. Many people think that's the only thing that you should do. Otherwise people think you are not doing social service. I disagree with that completely. There are 3 more options. Do a funds collection. I may be a person who can persuade people and get money out of them. Good cause only, not for a bad cause. But I am very persuasive in nature. Use that skill in social service. Don't go and do field work. You have wasted your precious talent. Third possibility, help them develop a good brochure, proper accounting, presentation material, thinking about what they should do next 2 years from now, visioning this social service organization. If you are a very good thinker, that is what you should do in the name of social service. Don't go and do 2 hours work. You have wasted your precious talent and they have not benefited from your talent. Or you can work in their office 2 hours a day, maybe do a data entry or because I am good in it. So therefore this is what Krishna is saying. Best social work is done not by all of us standing on the road. Please don't do that, and anyway most of us understand it. Ask what are you are good in, because that's what you will excel in. Channelize it to the cause. Do it with Loka Sangraha. You will be satisfied at the end of the day. The greatest achievement is satisfaction. Otherwise I don't know why I am doing. I did in so many ways. So that is what happens here. I think skip that. It's too much of a technical paper. I will remove it. Next shloka. Indriyasyendriyasyarte ragadveshau vyavastitau tayorna vashamagachet yetau hyasya paripantinau. Then Krishna says in this shloka, see, so far he said that you are made of your nature. So your nature has a combination of sattva, raja and tamas. In this shloka he says that however much I said you have a complete no control sort of a situation where you respond, but God has given you a possibility of a free will. So what you can do is you can make a choice between two situations. When your nature can be applied to situation A and situation B, you can make a choice. The free will is the greatest thing given to human beings. So how do you make a choice? Then he says you have to understand you should not walk into temptations in life. Rajasic, if I am a very Rajasic, that means I am bubbling with activity. Now the question is, where do I actually, focus my energy on? I am bubbling with energy, that's what I am Rajasic. So that's why he says, Indriyasya, Indriyasyarte. Indriya are these, organs which can go to the outside world. Indriyasya artaha, the raw material for the Indriya. The raw material for the eye is what you can see, the raw material for the ear is what you can hear, the raw material for the tongue is what you can eat, taste, like that. Right? He says, this, if you work on a plane of raga and dvesha, if you come with that framework, if you come with the framework of raga and dvesha and then say, I will channelize my energy, but with the framework of raga and dvesha, he says you will be defeated. That's what he's saying, you will be defeated. Because attachment and aversion can, what will happen? He says, tayoho na vashamaga, don't get into the influence of raga and dvesha. Why? He says, Paripantino. Panta means path. The English word path came from Panta. The Sanskrit root is path only. From path only Panta came. Path is also path. So it says Paripantino. They are the robbers of the highway. We are on a highway of our life. So the highway here is the highway I talked about. We are all on the same highway. Now don't get caught by the robbers. They will take away all your thing and then make you poorer. You will start the journey all over. That's what happens. When you go on a highway, if you don't protect your belongings, you are in a difficult situation. Right? So he says this raga and dvesha are two robbers. It's all in dvivachana. Paripantinav, raga dveshau, vyavastitau, tayoho, vashamagacchit, etau. All these are twi. See, it's talking about the twin. What is the twin? Raga and dvesha. He says, when you allow your nature to express itself, always remember, don't get into the influence of raga and dvesha, you will be stuck. They will take you elsewhere. They will hijack you. They are the highway robbers which will hijack you elsewhere. Which means, although you committed your nature, at the end of it, your Vyaktitva will not develop. You will destroy your personality. Asuya and all that will be coming out of that. So he says, right application of your energy on the right side also requires a framework for you. The most important framework is, as far as possible, keep away from raga and dvesha. If you can keep away from raga and dvesha, then there is a good chance that you will succeed. Otherwise, it will hijack you elsewhere and take you. Why he is saying it? The chapter ends with 6 beautiful shlokas explaining this. There is a very common thing which comes in a particular way. That is why he is bringing this idea. He says, your nature must be plowed in a particular way, but you also need a reference framework for you. You are a thinking person. Bring the right framework in your thought. Then your nature will also, synergy will happen. Otherwise it will destroy. Synergy will not happen. Because the theme at the end of the day, the goal is, I want to improve, I want to develop my personality and develop that escape velocity and then get mukshutva. All these, he says, will not allow you. Anyway, he is talking in detail in the last 6 slokas, so I will take it again in a little more detail at that time. Then, this is a sloka. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat Swadharme nidanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. It's a very powerful shloka. He says, Swadharmo, in one's own dharma. You have a Prakriti. You know where he is going? You have a Prakriti. Prakriti will lead you to a karma. The karma must be aligned to your dharma, which is aligned to your nature. Your own dharma means I am a person like this, therefore if I can do this, there is a good chance I can develop my personality. My world inside will become more happy and satisfied because I do what is my strength. Riding on one's own strength, all these words they are using. So he says, Swadharmo Vigunaha. If that what you are doing is not even perfect, it is not really good, it is not really perfect, but it is what is aligned to your nature and your Prakriti and the right framework and all that are put into that place, he says that is Shreya, that is better. That is any day better than what he says, Paradharmat Swanushtitat, by trying to observe something which is not my nature. By trying to do something which I am not. If I have a very good hand for intricate things, I should not become a software engineer. There your hand will be used only for typing this button, tuck, 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 tuck all the time. If you have a very nice hand in which you can do very intricate things, you should be a jeweler, or you should do a nice craft which you can do and things like that. This country was flourishing with that kind of a understanding of trade. That's why your career choice is not based on what gives you money. The career basis on the basis of what you are. What is the best thing which will give you that sense of satisfaction? Today we have kept that conversation away. The career planners are all talking about money, as though money can replace everything else in life. Up to a point it will, after that will be the biggest villain for us. So he says, Swadharme Nidanam Shreya. By being in own dharma, to die is far better. Death in your own dharma, in your own place, in your own territory of what you are good in is best. He says, Paradharmo Bhayavaha. He says, trying to do something which you are not. That's why Sushu Samhita says, Swaswin Karmani, Swaswin Sthane, Stiyate iti swastham. So what is that bhaya? The bhaya is you jeopardize your health, you jeopardize your peace of mind, you jeopardize your fulfillment. Sense of fulfillment is very important for us. Not money. Money is there, but today we are putting a full stop on money. I will put a comma on money and keep money as the second or third item in the list. Today money is the first list and there is a full stop. Krishna says, Paradharmo Bhayavaha. It can be scary. And that is why in this country today, I am sorry to tell you, in this country, the largest number of diabetes and hypertension are in the age group of 20 to 30. India is the diabetes and hypertension capital of the world. Why? Because we have given these great ideas to go by. And our career choice is based on what is glamorous. This glamour can be Bhayavaha. So Bhayavaha is nothing but glamour, vanity. For vanity you want to choose a career, not for your self-fulfillment. And then after choosing a career, now I am lecturing my students, everybody must need self-fulfillment. I don't know how is it going to happen when I have not linked what I should do to what I am. So the Prakriti is very, very important in your scheme of things. That's what Krishna is saying here. Paradharmo Bhayavaha. It's a very scary thing. You do not know what you are getting into. Never get into this kind of a possibility. He says, don't do it. And we are treading into Paradharma today. In fact, Swami Chidbhavananda, best commentary in Tamil is Swami Chidbhavananda for Bhagavad Gita. Okay? And he gives a wonderful one-liner to explain this. He says, and which is I think true, I reflected a lot on it. You know what he says in this shloka, in his, in this? He says, a Krishi, a person who is a Krishi, because he is that nature, 10 years of monsoon failure will not shake him. This is the word he says in Tamil, he writes it. 10, why you say it? 2-3 years of monsoon failure will not shake him. A software engineer buying a farmhouse or some land, all software engineers are into it now. They buy some 10 acres somewhere in Dodda Ballapur because somebody said you can make. One failure of rain, they first sell it because they are very worried. Because they don't have their feet is not on the ground. What is the Swadharma and Paradharma? Your feet must be on your ground. If your feet is not on your ground, you will not excel. And what do you mean your feet on your ground? You link your nature to what you do. So he gives an example like that. I think we will stop here. It's 8 o'clock. I think we will stop here. And we have 6 more shlokas. It starts with a beautiful question by Arjuna and an answer to it, which we will see tomorrow. And with the grace of the Lord, hopefully we will complete everything to our satisfaction tomorrow. We will stop here. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Shri Guru Charanaravindarpanamastu. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.